Developing a style for your channel and your thumbnails is really important. It's a way to let viewers quickly know that they're going to be clicking on a video that you created. Or it's going to be a situation where somebody's like, I keep seeing this style of video. What is this about? Let me click on it and find out. And it's something I feel a lot of creators struggle with, myself included. I think up until about 2 months ago, I couldn't decide on a style. And I'll show you a few examples, and then I'll walk you through exactly how I develop my thumbnails. And whether that's something you want to recreate, which I don't suggest, simply because you want yours to be kind of unique and reflective of your channel's brand. But I'll give you a look. I'll show you some of the stuff that I created. So, my Alien Isolation series was a situation where I just, ripped the cover of the game and stuck my face onto it. This is actually something I'm actually pretty happy with. When it's shrunk down, you can actually not see this extra eye from the original, from Ripley's character. And I think that is a situation where it's okay to actually break from your style. But something that I had done for a while was, I'd have myself here, have my little watermark, because apparently I needed my big face and I was worried about somebody stealing my face, with, the title. And I added like a line here. This here was done in a free program that you can find online. Super basic. You can't really do much with it, so that's why I kept it to this. I hadn't renewed my Photoshop license, so yeah, I decided to, because I needed to up my game. Again, the big thing was me, live stream. This was a Division. Nothing I think really stands out, but like you can see, like I tried some other stuff here, like doing like, the Technicolor background. I don't feel that worked. At one point I did some page rips, which I actually do like, but oddly enough, when I made this switch and I started including like page rips as just my theme, my posts and my videos got a lot less views. So I decided, okay, I'm going to have to change it and then go back to something else until I landed on what I really wanted. And it was something I kind of zoned in on for a while. I'm a big fan of the 80s. Most of the stuff that comes through from the 80s that I watch or consume, it's gold for me. One of the things is cyberpunk. So I do have a few stuff, and I'll show you kind of what I'm doing now. These are my Fortnite stills that I created. That I'm not going to be playing Fortnite anymore because, if you followed my game around recently, I'm just not a fan of the game. I understand why people like it. I'm just not a fan. This was my first one where I was kind of still trying to figure out what I wanted. I like it. It's still pretty cool. I think the Thanos one that I did was one of my favorites. Trying to really hone in on not necessarily cyberpunk. I think I can go a lot more grungy, but just trying to get that feel. I like purple, I like teal as colors, so I'm trying to go that way. Here's a Watch Dogs one. We're going to be doing a Watch Dogs clip or Watch Dogs cover art today. So I like, I could definitely put more time in. I'm not saying these are great by any stretch. I think they're okay. I need to continuously work and develop and hone it. Really, at this point, I'm doing all I can to try to up. Oh, I didn't want to go there. Try to make my channel stand out, right? Do I have any for COD yet? I don't have any for COD. This was at one point what I do have. I just saw. This is one of the other ones I was going to. These ones actually got good engagement. Where color blast, war the game mode, and then live stream. That actually got a lot of attention. I was getting stuff that were coming through pretty good. This is again my new theme. So I don't just do the black. I like doing a play on the color palette as well. The main and the reason why I try to center everything, it's not aesthetically pleasing. You kind of want stuff off center, but when I share the stuff to YouTube, to Twitter from YouTube, it creates a preview. And I'll show you. Mostly on mobile, and most of the viewers today are on that consume stuff for YouTube are on mobile. But if I go to my Twitter account here, I'll just throw this here. So you see here how the preview just, kind of shows the middle and has a play button. So I try to keep everything centered simply because it's I love the GIFs that I put on. I try to keep stuff centered. I am sometimes playing with just copying the URL and then throwing the whole thing to get that full look. Something I'm contemplating doing. It's an extra step that I think would go a long way. And see, this here is kind of my last evolution, like the previous evolutionary step to my content before it is where it is now. Still not a big fan of that. Really, the important thing is to make your stuff recognizable. So let's do one together. I'm just gonna kind of show you my steps to give you an idea of some of the stuff that you can do in Photoshop to maybe give yourself some consistency. Again, I wouldn't recreate my stuff step by step, simply because it's you don't want my stuff and your stuff to look similar. You just don't. Main reason is that if you are clicking on a video and expecting another person's channel, people usually get pissed off when they leave, and you don't want people to just leave your video. So with that said, the first, I guess, major step is deciding what kind of style you want. I've already mentioned cyberpunk. 80s cyberpunk is kind of what I like. So it's important to have a source or reference. So I just go into Google and I look at this stuff. I consume this information and I decide, okay, what's the one thing that really speaks to me, or is there anything here that I can pull from inspirationally and maybe incorporate two of the images? So this is actually one that I think I've used in the past. I haven't nailed. I've tried the mountain range. I haven't done it well yet. And I'm looking here and I'm actually noticing something that I think I might be able to recreate later. But this is another one. I do like the sun like that. I don't even know how to call it, right? But this sun here, like the spaces in between, I love it. So I'll go ahead and I'll make sure I have this as I'm creating my first style and reference. I'm going to have this, and it helps to have another monitor so I can just look back and forth to see, okay, am I getting the feel and the look? Another image I used, I know for a fact, was this one, just to get the color palette right. This is another one, just again, stylized. I don't have anything that looks like this in my thumbs, but this heavily influenced what I wanted. One of my favorite actually images out of this bunch is this one here. I absolutely adore it. Like the DeLorean is this is a beautiful picture. I love it. So anyways, with that said, get that out of the way. So remember, have yourself look up art styles, see what you want out of your video, make it sure it pops. And let's get going. So I mentioned it, we're going to go and get a Watch Dogs thumb going, because I will be doing more Watch Dogs 1 streams. So there's an easy way and there's a hard way to do things. You can get a transparent image, and it's going to save you the steps that I'm going to show you here. But sometimes that's not an option, so we'll actually take the extra 5 minutes to go through this and really make this our own image. So one thing to note is my workflow here is going to be super basic. If you are advanced at Photoshop and you know quick keys, that's great. I love watching Photoshop tutorials, but sometimes I see that people they go too much on their hotkeys, and if somebody that's newer to the program isn't familiar with all the hotkeys, they lose their steps. Sure, they can pause it, research it, whatever, but I don't want you to be taken out of the flow. This isn't meant as a step-by-step guide. It's kind of a how I do it. Maybe you can take some information from this. So I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff, pointing and clicking, Control C, Control V, like that kind of stuff I'll do, the basics, but the Photoshop's shortcut keys, I do normally have it. And I also got my Stream Deck that has macro stuff plugged in. My book is covering this. So this helps. If you've got one, you can actually program it to make hotkeys in programs. So I use a lot of hotkeys. It really speeds up the process, and I do suggest that you learn hotkeys. What I want to do here is I want to isolate Aiden from the background. I want to get rid of the background. I'm going to do my own background. Or even better, what you could do is you can actually keep the background if you wanted to, and then have Aiden as a separate layer and play with the colors there. And it's like a juxtaposition where it could actually cause the image to pop. You want that person to, as they're scrolling, stop on your thumbnail and be like, oh, that's pretty cool. Let me check it out. So how do I get rid of all this? There's a few ways, and it really depends on how busy your background is. So the key here, I try to get as much as I can through as little clicks as possible. So, like here, that's kind of what I can pull off. I can do this here, and I can grab the ear. But here I notice that the coat jacket is being taken. So I'm going to play with the tolerance a bit. Playing with the tolerance is your easiest way to see. That's too low. So you want to get a good medium. So it's, just deciding where you want to go with it. That's about good. What I'm going to do after is I'm going to go through the edges with a fine tooth comb. Don't have one here, but making sure that everything's on the up and up, and I'm really getting what I need to get. So I'm not going to go through all of this because it'll take me about 5 minutes, and it's, trust me, nothing that you want to do. But the trick here, nothing that you want to follow me along with, actually, is what I meant to say. The trick here is work in close. Go really close to your image. So, here I'm at 600%. You can get way closer. I sometimes go, as sometimes all the way to the limit. And what's good here is that the closer you are, the more precise you can be. So if you work out at like the full range or all the way backed out, you're going to make mistakes that might not be apparent. So, if I'm trying to follow the edges here while I'm, it's not a good way to work. It's not a good way to work. Get in as close as possible. And I think that's true for most of working in Photoshop. You want to get through as close as possible and just go through the edges. You can go pixel by pixel at this point because you have the pixel layouts on the grid there, and as much time as you want to. So again, I'm not going to go through the whole thing with you. I've kind of already done that on a previous one, so I'm just going to get rid of this layer here. And this is me where I've actually gone through and contoured Aiden as much as I could. Now that I've got pretty much all of this here, it's really easy to just lasso out. I could theoretically, actually, you know what? I'm going to duplicate layer here. Duplicate layer. Working with layers is kind of what you want. You want to be able to work with not as many layers, but like you don't want a crazy long workflow. Oh, wrong one. What did I do? So the undo, if you don't know, undo is Control Z. Let's see there. Perfect. I've already got that there. Just getting rid of everything. I think I might have actually clipped Aiden a bit there. Doesn't really matter. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with this. The building is... Perfect. All right. It's important to also name your layers, because as soon as you start having a lot of layers, it becomes tricky. It actually becomes really tricky to navigate. You don't know what's what. You're clicking the eye on everything to see what disappears. I have fat fingers, so sometimes it's hard for me to type. All right. So what are we going to do here? Well, we're going to duplicate layer. I always like to keep one layer as kind of a backup in case something happens with the workflow, and I have something to fall back on. So there's a few ways that I like to take my design. I am probably at this point going to, I think I'm going to just show you guys one of the normal ones that I do, and it's pretty straightforward. A lot of it's playing again with the filters. Once kind of the magic's out of the bag, may not be as special, so bear with me on that. All right, so Actually, I normally work with this panel on my other screen. I just realized that, yeah, I'm kind of recording here. I need to show you guys what I do. So I like to find edges. Usually I'll play around depending on what exactly the image entails. No image will be the same. You want to see what's viable, what isn't. So I've done the glow edges. The idea here is I can get strong lines across, which is exactly what I want. What we'll do with these lines, there's a lot of stuff here that I don't want, a lot of noise. We're gonna take care of that. Don't worry about it. We're gonna take care of it. So I like to make sure that these colors are all uniform, and the best way of doing that is to first go to black and white. Just make it black and white. You want to highlight, you want the whites to pop, and then you can add a color on it afterwards. There's actually a few ways. You can either delete the black, you can keep the black and just change it with your layer styles. We'll go through all that for this instance here. I then want to go to levels. Oops, hit contrast. I then want to go to levels. I'm going through this because I normally use like hotkeys, so I'm like, where do I gotta go again? Where is all this found? So I want to be. See, you notice like as I do this here, a lot of that white noise kind of disappears. That's what you want. You want to strike that balance, but I want to keep like, so my issue here is I want to keep this logo here. I want to keep the threads. So I'm trying to find. Gotta find the right balance. Again, a lot of it is playing around. I think I got it here. I think I got most of what I wanted here. Might work, might not work. We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out. When I do. So I'm going to do a color overlay. Oops, not inner glow. What am I doing here? Color overlay. Again, I like that pink purplish vibe. My bad. I'm supposed to go here. So in a situation like this, I'm gonna actually just move, yeah, okay, I can do it like this. So I'm getting in a situation here where I like to go through each time and just see what each style produces, each blend mode rather produces. Maybe I can strike a home run with something like that, or we'll see here. Well, that's unfortunate. I'll be right back. Okay, so that was an Amazon delivery. Now, the cynical viewer right now might be like, why aren't you just editing that out? I'm not editing it out because it's real life. I'm all about authenticity. All right. So, what the heck was I trying to do here? So we got the color overlay there. The thing that we want to kind of maintain here. I'm trying to find a good medium. No. So it's really playing around with everything here. I'm going to see what we can come up with. If I throw on luminosity, that kind of gives me what I want. Okay, that kind of gives me what I want. That actually not that bad. So I can go one of two ways. I can leave it exactly like this because it's kind of what I wanted, or I can, let's see here, duplicate layer. Again, a lot of it's about having a lot of layers. Not a lot of layers, just working with different layers. Don't know why I keep saying that. And what I'm going to do here is take out, excuse me, what the heck did I just do there? And take out the black on this one here. Go color range, the black out. Blending options. Going to get rid of that. Fill opacity down to 0. I'm gonna play around, see if it looks good. A lot of what I do is there's no set guide. It's what looks good. So this here gives it a bit more presence. We go to 100%. Go up to normal. Play around and see exactly what I get. So I'm not actually seeing anything that I really want. It's actually not turning out that great. As soon as I throw that on, it makes it look ugly. So that's gone. We're gonna play around here, and I realize, oh, here we go. I still got my buildings here to the left. Blending options. Cut a color overlay. I do my gradient overlay. Now, here we can actually play around with a few colors. I like my purple, but I'm using purple already. So I'm using purple for Aiden. I want Aiden to pop. And actually kind of like that. I'm going to duplicate this layer here. Got that big bar. That bar is going to go off. Now you might be like, why you duplicate? Because I like that symmetrical vibe that you get from a lot of the art of that time. So I'm kind of merging cyberpunk with something else, and I don't even consider this cyberpunk at this point. Like if you look at my art here that I use as inspiration originally, and it's okay to deviate. Like you're kind of creating your own thing. I still think this kind of lines up. Now you can either decide here to have text or not have text. The best thing to do for the most part is to go textless, unless you really want to differentiate yourself. Now you can keep editing. Like I can keep editing. I can go ahead and give Aiden some color if I wanted to. I'll just go ahead here and duplicate layer because that's my original Aiden. Go ahead and go normal. Now here, so I'm giving a bit more color here. I'm throwing in some extra, like if I, wrong one. So if I take this away here Here he's got some more. He's got some blue. He's got a bit of orange here. I didn't like this. I actually like this, but I don't want just that. I don't. If you understand what I mean, like I want there to be another level of depth to it. And I think, boom, that does it. I actually think at this point, I don't need to touch the image anymore, at least Aiden. There is something that is bothering me, and it's the buildings here. So I'm going to just merge the buildings. Like that. I don't like the areas, because this here is from when I was contouring Aiden and then just getting rid of stuff. So I had no intention on using the buildings, but I saw something there as I was talking to you that just made me want to kind of hone in on that. So, whew, I just thought for a second I wasn't recording. That would have been terrible. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I want there to be kind of like a fade in, fade out. Do I do it? I guess I could. Okay, I could try with this. See what it's like. So if I take the lasso tool and I increase the feather, if I go like this, got the right building. So you just keep hitting delete. Here I'm too far away. Too far away. Go like this. There you go. Kind of brings a it calls less attention to, you know, the jagged edge that was there. You and I know that, like, this is a complete hodge. I actually like the lines here. I can go a lot further. One of the things I was originally going to show you guys was the grid that I make. I guess I could. I'm going to show you what a full. I'm going to show you one of my full working files here. Show you the PUBG one. No, not this one. That was me playing around with some work that I'm not really a big fan of. This is my working file here. Okay, so you'll notice I got a lot of layers. I got a lot of layers. So I got the trees. Trees I think I'm going to ditch. Soon I got my type font. We got my grids. So the grid is easy to make. Do I show you here or do I show you a new one? I really like this thumbnail, actually. I really like this thumbnail. Call me out. If you think it's shit, call me out in the comments. Let me know what you think of the thumbnail. But I really like it. And that's it. So then that's how you could develop you know, your brand for your thumbnails. I really like I said a few times, I like this. And a lot of it's just about discovering, looking at what you're doing and trying to create something that looks nice and catches the eye. You want something to catch, like you want your thumbnail to pop out in a sea of thumbnails for the right reasons. Like, you can certainly make a terrible thumbnail and people will be like, oh, that is shit. But then they might not look at your video because they're like, if you can't make a thumbnail, maybe you can't even do a video properly. At least that's kind of like, you know, the prevailing thought amongst a lot of people. There you have it. That's my workflow, and that's how I develop my own guide, and that's my workflow. Don't know what I'm going to title this video. I don't know if it's going to be like develop your own style. I don't know. We'll see. Let me know what you think of the video. Let me know what you think of my thumbnails in general. Have a look. If this video is of any help to you, let me know. I'd love to hear it. Also, think about subscribing. I'm not really a tutorial video. I'm a gaming channel. I'm not a tutorial video. I'm not a tutorial channel, is what I meant to say. But let me know regardless. I'd love to hear it. Until next time, good gaming.